July 2007. Let's jump right into the books because I have no memory of what was going on in July of 2007. So the first book I read was The Reckoning by Sarah Pinborough, a nice leisure paperback. And back cover copy, they were children then, in that magical summer so long ago when Robert, Carrie Ann, and Jason first met Gina. It was a summer of fun, of friendship, and of discoveries, including the discovery of Gina's strange abilities. But it all ended in a moment of madness and blood. And then 20 years later, shit starts going down. Really, really good stuff. I'm a huge fan of this Sarah Pinborough leisure stuff, and this has an ending, like the very last page, that I really, really like. I don't want to say too much. It's, I believe, a haunted house story. I don't know if that's the best way to describe it, but yeah, really, really good. And again, love that last page, The Reckoning by Sarah Pinborough. After that, we have Spare Change by Robert B. Parker. This is a Sonny Randall novel. And there was a serial killer, the Spare Change Killer, who's been inactive for 30 years and then suddenly appears to be active again. And the detective that worked the case decades ago was Sonny Randall's father. And so they call him, cops call him, hey, this guy's back. He contacts Sonny because she's a private eye, asks for her help, and she thinks she knows who it is, but really doesn't have any proof, so she's trying to set up a trap. But, you know, things aren't going to go the way they're supposed to go. It's not going to be easy. Big fan of Sonny Randall, huge fan of Robert B. Parker, Spencer books, classics, and Sonny Randall, my second favorite character after Spencer, before Jesse Stone, who's fine, but I like Sonny Randall a little better. So good detective stuff with a serial killer. That is Spare Change by Robert B. Parker. Then we have Neptune Noir, edited by Rob Thomas, not the Rob Thomas from Matchbox 20. This is the Rob Thomas who makes TV shows. And this is an unauthorized book about Veronica Mars, which I find odd that it's unauthorized considering it's edited by the creator of the show. But it's basically just a bunch of essays about Veronica Mars, just looking at different aspects of it, asking different questions about the show. Should Veronica Mars be considered a vigilante? Is the relationship between Veronica and what's his name, guy whose name I can't think of off the top of my head, is that actually the driving force behind the entire series? Just all sorts of interesting questions. If you're a fan of the show Veronica Mars, I think you'd enjoy this book. Then we have The Demonologist by Michael Lamo. We've been seeing his name quite a bit. The main character in this is a guy named Bev Mathers, and he's starting to hear voices and have nightmarish visions, and it's possible maybe he's possessed by something, and he's going to need the help of a demonologist to get him out of it, to stop the demons. I dig this one. It might be my favorite of the Michael Lamos that I've read. But if you like demon stuff, lots of craziness, lots of gore. I think there's lots of gore. The Demonologist by Michael Lamo. The penultimate book for July of 2009. We're just flying right through these. The Midnight Tour by Richard Lehman. Look at the size of this thing. This thing's like 600 pages. This is another Beast House book, part of the Beast House series. And back cover copy for years. Morbid tourists have flocked to the Beast House, eager to see the infamous sight of so many unspeakable atrocities, to hear tales of the beast said to prowl the hallways. They can listen to the audio tour on their headphones as they stroll from room to room, looking at the realistic recreations of the blood-drenched corpses. But the audio tour only gives the sanitized version of the horrors of the Beast House. There are some facts too gruesome for the average thrill seekers. If you want the full story, you have to take the Midnight Tour, a very special event strictly limited to 13 brave visitors. It begins at the stroke of midnight. You may not live to see it end. The Beast House stuff, my favorite of Richard Lehman's, and despite the length, one might think, oh, Beast House stuff should be quick reads. The Cellar's not that big. The Midnight Tour, whatever it's called, no, that's this one. The Friday Night at Beast House isn't that thick. But this one, 600 pages just about, but it's good stuff. I think it flies by. There's a lot of craziness going on. The Midnight Tour by Richard Lehman. And finally, the last book that I read in July of 2007 is Dead Sea by Brian Keene. This is a zombie novel, but it's not the rising zombies. These are more traditional zombies, but not just people, animals, which was also the case in the rising. But this one has a different feel to it. It feels more like a traditional zombie story than the rising did. And Lamar Reed is the main character, and he and a handful of others, it says, for Lamar Reed and a handful of others, that safe haven is an old Coast Guard ship out at sea. I think it's a little while before they get to that Coast Guard ship, so we've got some zombie craziness going on the land, but then they get out on this Coast Guard ship out at sea where they hope they'll be safe, but what are the chances of that? It's a horror novel. It's a Brian Keene horror novel at that. I really enjoyed this book, and I was shocked. I don't know how this happened, but apparently this says, for Eric, thanks for the support, Brian Keene. I've never met Brian Keene. I don't know how I have a signed copy of this. Now, he was at Context in Columbus, or around Columbus, Ohio, the year before I ever heard about Context. So I missed him. And I've never been to a place where he's been signing books. So I don't know if I ordered this directly from him somehow, or if I won it. Maybe he had a contest of some sort, and I won an autographed copy. Yeah, I have no idea how I have an autographed copy of Dead Sea, but apparently I do. I was shocked when I opened it up and saw that. I was like, what the hell? So there you go. How did that happen? I'm old. I don't remember these things. But anyway, Dead Sea, Brian Keene, a really great zombie novel. It's up there in the my top 5, top 10 zombie novels. Right up there with The Rising. Different, but still a lot of great zombie carnage. A lot of fun. Big fan of Brian Keene's books. Even if somehow he snuck into my house while I was sleeping and signed it without me knowing it. That's it. That's everything that I read in July of 2007. Question for this video: are you a fan of Veronica Mars? Did you ever watch the show? Did you see the movie? I'm a big fan, even though the first time I watched the show, it was sort of a random episode in the middle of season 2, I think, and I wasn't that enamored with it. But people kept telling me how good it was, and so I started from the first episode and absolutely fell in love with it. Just in case you don't know, Veronica Mars, teenage girl in Neptune, California, which is, there's the 09ers. There's basically the rich folks and the not so rich folks, that sort of dividing line, but they're all going to the same school. So there's a lot of cliques and stuff, and there's uh, gangs in the town. And Veronica Mars, her father, Keith, was the sheriff, but Veronica's best friend had been murdered a year before the series started, and because he allegedly bungled the investigation, her father was voted out, and he becomes a private detective, and Veronica helps him out, and she helps him at his office, but she also like takes on clients at her high school while dealing with the cliques and trying to figure out who killed her best friend. The first season, that's the overarching mystery in the first season, is who killed her best friend, even though each episode pretty much has its own sort of standalone case that she's working on. And then in the second season, a school bus with a team for the school. I want to say it's the baseball team. I'm not 100% sure. It crashes, kills everybody, and it's considered an accident. Veronica doesn't think so. She's investigating that. That's the overarching story. And then the third season, she goes off to college, and they have basically three main stories. And so the season sort of divided up into three sections, three main mysteries, while all this other stuff is going on. There's a lot of teen drama and things going on. And then after the show ended, there was a crowd-funded movie, which I enjoyed, that takes place 10 years later, I think, because Veronica has come back to Neptune for her reunion, and there's a mystery. And then there was a short-lived, just one season, I don't even remember how many episodes, a revival series on one of the streaming channels, which I have not seen. I own it on Blu-ray, but I haven't watched it yet. And there's a couple novels that I have and I have read, and I enjoyed those very much. So yes, I'm a big fan. I like the little stories. I love the characters and the character interactions and the relationships and everything. And so yeah, I wish there had been more than just two novels. And of course, I would have loved more show or another movie or whatever. More Veronica Mars would have been nice. What about you? Did you ever watch the show, see the movie, enjoy it, not enjoy it? Is it the kind of thing that doesn't interest you at all? Did it just look like typical CW teeny bopper show? Let me know in the comments below. If you have any comments, questions, or corrections, please put those in the comments below. Comments are open for spoilers. Just post a spoiler warning. We try to be polite here on my channel. Please like, share, and subscribe, all the usual YouTube stuff. If you'd care to follow me on other social media, I'll have links for my Instagram and Bluesky in the description below. That's all I have for you this week. So until next week, read more books.